Hi everybody, this is Diane. I just made the video of this journal that is in my shop right now, and I wanted to tack this part at the beginning of the video. This is what is going to come with the journal, just a few pieces, some leftover digitals that you can use in the journal, some scraps of the pattern cardstock, and these two images from vintage magazines from the 20s or 30s, or I think this is actually earlier than that. Maybe they both are. I don't know. They're both old. So those two are genuine antique ephemera, and you'll be getting all of these with the journal. And I also wanted to let you know that I have some extra pieces to put in my shop. I have these two large tags. I had an extra page from the digital printed, so I made two extra tags, and I made some extra fabric flips and clusters. So there are 3 flips with the same fabrics that I used for the journals, and 3 clusters. And all of these will be together in one bundle in my shop. Now let's take a look at the journals. Hi everybody, this is Diane. I am here with 2 finished journals. One is for my niece, one is going in my Etsy shop. Let's look at that one first so you can see which one is going to be available to you. And then if you'd like to, stay tuned for the viewing of my niece's journal. It has a few different things in it. So these are both made with a sturdy vintage file divider base. Sorry, I had to think about all those words. So it's a sturdy chipboard, but it's flexible. And I put a layer of batting on it, and then I collaged fabric pieces and then constructed it like I do any other book cover. I made a spine, a flexible file folder spine, and put it all together like I've done in a lot of videos. So these are vintage sheet pieces, these big florals, and just some other fabrics that I had. My niece's wedding, her colors were sage and blush, so those are the colors that I chose. I used the same colors for the journal that will go in the shop because the digital papers were those colors. This is just a nice piece of fabric that I had, and I added some bits of lace trims for embellishments. I just simply tied it with a light green seam binding piece. Before I get into the journals, let me show you something extra that I made that I'll be putting in my shop separately. I have a collection of fabric flips and clusters with the same fabrics that I used for the journals. So here's one cluster. I'll give you the measurements of this one so you can kind of gauge. This is 4.5 by 7.25. And then this one. These 2 pieces are sewn right down onto the fabric. And this one. And then there are 3 clusters in varying sizes. Has 3 pieces of fabric. Also 3 pieces, but it's a tiny one. And then this is a bit bigger. This one has 2 pieces of fabric and the lace. So these will all be put together into a bundle in my shop. Now we can get into the journal. I forgot to mention the spine dangle. These are pieces from old necklaces that I took apart. I got them at a flea market. This was a really long one. This one with the pearls and the clear ones and lots of metal. That was a really long necklace. I put 2 pieces on each journal, and I still have a piece of it left. This one had quite a few pieces, but it wasn't as big as this one. But I thought the colors went really nicely. Oh, I need to put a book plate here. I didn't do that. This is a piece of fabric. The digital papers that I used are from a Etsy shop called Floral Designs or Floral Studio. I will link it below. And then I used a lot of various digital pieces that I already had printed and in my stash. I just went to my stash and pulled out things that would go with this kit and use them. So I'm not gonna go into those. If you have questions, you can ask. I have some vintage trim on the front of each signature and some fabric ruffles peeking out and some bulb pins with a tiny little bead on the front piece of lace. I backed the digital pages with another digital, which I think is Nostalgia Graphic Land. I'll try to see if I can link that. I've had this for so long. If I can find it in their Etsy shop, I will link it. All right, now I did a lot of pages for journaling because of the purpose Danielle wants it for, and I just did the same thing in this journal. Lots of spaces for journaling. I did include some pieces just for fun and for journaling on, and pockets for her to insert things. So this is a vintage perfume label on graph paper. Here's the first fabric flip on music paper, vintage music page, a pink tissue paper or typing paper, I think it was. Here's one of the digitals. So there are two digital kits. One was green and white and one was pink floral. And I used some images from old magazines. So here's a lady with an old-fashioned telephone in her hands. I love the shape of this. I put it on pink cardstock. And this is digital. So I used a lot of florals and vintage ladies. Wallpaper, so pretty. And I created a pocket with some vintage lace, and I did do videos on these pockets. There are two videos showing, one video doing the cover and two videos showing doing pockets and tags and things. I printed two of the pages without printing a back on them like this. I left them white on the back so I could cut them up and make things with them. So this is one of the digital pages and I put it on a large tag. I just put a doily in here for decoration. Did a little stamping on the corner of this parchment paper. Some small pages here. This one is stationery. Wrapping paper, vintage. Calendar book. This was a hardcover book, but it was like an appointment calendar book from Avon, and it featured roses. So I think on the other side of this page you'll see a rose. This is from a binder, and it's for names and addresses. A floral coloring book page. Let me just tie this in a bow. I think both of the other signatures have a pocket, an envelope in the middle. Yep, there's a rose there. And I clipped this fun piece. This is a digital. You'll see some of the long pieces and this small card. They're all from a set called Rococo. I don't know the name of the Etsy shop. And this is glued to a piece of parchment. I had to trim this piece. It's longer than this. I had to trim it so it fit on the page, but I didn't want to cut this short. I wanted to give you extra journaling space, so I just folded it down. That's parchment paper. Here's a fabric ruffle with some lace down the center. Some stamping. Here's the back of the wallpaper, and I put on this sheet for writing on. It says to do at the top. I just decorated with some pretty washi tape and a little digital film strip with a lady in it. Harrison Fisher illustration. The wallpaper is here, and then I did a belly band, and I did this on a video. Cardstock, some digital pieces, and this is, she's from an old magazine, but I had made a copy of her. She's from a magazine that I owned. Here is a partial page. I cut the leftover pages that I had so that you can have them for journaling. And this was another digital. So pretty. I don't know who it was from. There's what I did with the fabric cluster. Each signature has a fabric flip and a fabric cluster. I made a fun little tuck spot here with just 3 elements. This is a piece of cardstock that I just cut and rounded the corners. I punched this, another piece of cardstock, and this is a digital ticket that I've had for ages. I used a lot of the digital tickets and pieces like this that I've had in my stash for so long. And I just included this plain layaway tag that you can decorate. I will be including some things you can use for decorating. I don't have that put together, so I can't show it to you. This is a vintage postcard. It's foreign, and I'm looking for the date, and I don't see it. But look at that beautiful handwriting. And there's handwriting on the front. It's another one of those Rococo pieces to write on. This little coupon, digital coupon. That was the first signature. There's a little green bead with a design on it. Another film strip piece. That's a digital. This is another lady from a magazine, but this is the genuine article. It's not a copy. And I took this sticky note from a list pad. It says daily agenda, and it has the date or the time down the side. So you could write what you want to do for that day, or you could just write how your day was going, what you were doing at each hour of the day. And I lined it with writing paper. Here's a typing paper. Wallpaper. I made a rounded pocket here and added some trim and just tucked the guest check in. Again, I left it plain so you can decorate it with some of the elements that I include or some that you collect. There's another stamp here on some pink parchment. This is wrapping paper with these pretty ladies. I covered up a spot on this page. I talked about that in yesterday's video. And I covered it with this little digital doily, but I made a pocket out of it. And this is just vintage ledger paper, and then those pieces, digital pieces, just for decoration. A small graph paper that was in a binder. And I put an envelope in the center here. I talked about this because this tore when I was opening up the envelope so that I could sew it in. So I added a tiny little digital doily there to cover up the tear. And that's just a digital card. Pretty rose on that calendar page. There's a pretty digital card to write on. Just some pink lined paper and a white scalloped stationery sheet and another fabric ruffle. This is the back of the wrapping paper. I don't think I mentioned that behind this pocket is a really cool, it's a reproduction of a vintage catalog, but the reproduction itself was vintage. But the New Haven clocks. So that continues over here. And then I added this page for writing and another of the Rococo strips. I glued another lined digital on the back. And the belly band with a cardstock, decorated cardstock, digital here, and this is an actual piece from an old magazine from the early 1900s. She's so pretty. There's a card you can write on. It's one of the Floral Designs pages that I reduced. I did printed 4 to a page. There's the cluster. This is another vintage lady from a magazine. This is an actual piece from the magazine, and I die cut and embossed this piece behind her, and I tucked in a really pretty postcard that's unused, but it's from the early 1900s, and it's got the pretty pink and green colors that are throughout these journals. This is a digital label and a digital ticket. There's a white bead on this one. I love this old lace. I'm running out of these 3 laces that I used on the edges. I had a lot of these, but I'm running low because I use them a lot. I love them. This is a digital card with a really pretty rose on it. Pretty fabric flip. Wallpaper border. This one has a lace pocket, and I did that on the video, the last video. And a birthday card with tulips. And it's 1913. Stationery piece with a pretty flower there in the corner. It's a parchment paper too. Wallpaper or wrapping paper. Here's the title page of the Avon calendar book. This is a digital envelope that I had in my stash, and I put this digital page that I had left over from something from a long time ago. Folded that up and put it in there so you have lots of journaling space. And here is another one of the Rococo strips glued to parchment, and I just put some strips of graph paper on the back that you can journal on with this really big copper paper clip. It says wishful thinking. There's a glassine bag here with a digital ticket and a digital airmail envelope that's decorated with flowers. There's the cluster. Another image from a 1920s or 30s magazine. And another tag that I made with one of the journal pages on pink cardstock. And on the back there's a pink library pocket, and I included one of the journal pages that I downsized and added some leftover lace there. There's a digital library card, and it has my signature on the back. So I'm calling these feminine floral journals. This will be in my shop. That's the only one that'll be in my shop when you see the video. Thanks for, oh no, don't go away, because I'm going to show you Danielle's. Let's look at Danielle's book. Same sort of thing. The collage design is different, but it has the same fabrics and the same necklace pieces on the dangle. Now, Danielle, I'm pretty sure she'll watch this. I'll tell her that it's on. my channel so she can watch it before she gets the journal. So I just want to say, Danielle, this is a vintage sheet here. Love that. I put things in the pockets, but they are placeholders. They're nice things. You can leave them there, but you can take them out and replace them with the things that you have collected that you want to save in this journal. So I don't mind if you take them out and do something else with them. There's a pretty label there. Another beauty label. Another lady from an old magazine. She's glued to cardstock, so she's nice and sturdy. This is wallpaper with this pretty vintage collar piece that I glued onto cardstock. I did get some smudges on your parchment when I stamped. This is a pink stationery that has an embossed edge and a green lined paper. This is a thin textured vintage wrapping paper. Again, I covered this corner. Some of the pages from this Rose catalog were water damaged. So the ones that looked worse, I made that pocket there. Some little digitals tucked in. This is from a recipe book for you to write your own recipe, but it's just for you to journal on. This journal has 3 of these pale yellow envelopes, each one with one of these journaling cards inside. Again, you can take that card out and put in some of the things that you've collected, or you can use the card to journal about the things that you put in there. Another belly band. This one has a green folded up sheet and a digital piece that I love. And another one of those pockets, tuck spots, and an antique postcard. This one was written on but not mailed, so it just says February 15th, but no year. It's from your loving sister. Hello, Homer. I chose a couple postcards that I thought had a good sentiment for newlyweds. May fortune smile on you. I love this image from a magazine. And I didn't even realize that it said June on it. It's June 1914. But she was married in June. And this was a drawing by a girl that was age 15. And it was put into St. Nicholas for Children magazine. St. Nicholas magazine. I got a stack, a big stack of them from the very early 1900s. So that was, and they had some really nice illustrations that children did. And Danielle is an artist, so I thought she'd enjoy that. Danielle is a really good artist. Beautiful wallpaper here with the clock page again. Waterbury clocks this time. Pretty stationery. And this gift wrap has brides on it. I don't normally keep wedding paper because I don't make wedding journals or baby paper. So I just kept this one because I thought it was so pretty and I was really glad I had it to include in her journal. And this calendar page, it's from another Avon calendar, but it was a wall calendar, and it had, I took the month of June and put it in here. But she can just journal on this, but she was married in June of last year. This is a real Victorian piece, Danielle. It's not a digital piece. Just so you know. There's another of those pretty cards inside. This is just pieces glued on to cover up the back of the calendar, because the colors on the back didn't match this book. I hope you can see okay, because it looks kind of dark when I look in the lens or on the screen. I love this belly band. These are all digitals. There's a piece of lace back here. This is scrapbook paper, and that's a digital. This is from an old magazine. I thought Danielle would love this picture. And I like your company the best. That's Danielle and Taylor. 1931. And the last signature. This is a digital I've had in my shop for a really long time. It's, I think it's an old Coke calendar, a copy of it. And this is dated 2016, so they took an old calendar and then made a replica of it for 2016, whoever did it. But love this wrapping or wallpaper. And there's a satiny trim. There's a digital. And this pretty postcard. Here's a bluebird for happiness. 1916. Put the bird up. Pretty stationery. Wrapping paper. There's another card in there. This one had a tear when I tried to take it apart too, so I put, this rose was cut from a vintage greeting card. And here is the sheet of torn. I think I meant to staple this on the opposite way so you'd see all the layers. I turned it around. And as I said in yesterday's video, I think it was yesterday's video. Anyway, I had printed this on tissue paper or tracing paper a long time ago, so I decided now was the time to use it. And here's the pocket on the back with a digital card inside and my signature. Instead of just putting my name down there, it says homemade just for you by Aunt Diane. I love you. I love you, Danielle. And I hope that you, Danielle, I'm going to speak seriously to you. I hope that you will actually use this, write in it, put your things in it, make it your own. A lot of people buy these journals and then they're afraid to write in them. So I want you to take it and make it your own, okay? All right, so this will be in my shop when you see the video. And this will get to Danielle as soon as I can get it to her. Thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you very soon. Have a creative day. Bye.